if you are born again, your spirit man, this hidden man, is filled with the ability and the potential of God himself. Our modern culture, like to the youth that are here and the guys that are here, when we think about the hidden man, you know, a good analogy would be like Spider-Man. Here's Peter Parker. He goes to high school. He's like any other kid going to high school. He's got his books and everything else, but he's got a secret. He's been bit by a radioactive spider, and there's a hidden man in there that can do a lot of stuff most guys can't do. This hidden man, his spidey senses can sense evil, and he can hear stuff blocks away. He's got 10 times the strength of a normal human. And on the list goes. And Marvel Comics and the Marvel movie has made billions of dollars because within every one of us, something resonates. Everybody wants to be Superman, Superwoman, Wonder Woman, the Hulk, Captain America, you name it. Why? What's the big deal? Because deep inside of all of us is a hidden man with more abilities than you could imagine. And everyone senses it, and everyone knows it. The hidden man that the epistles talk about is the real you. And that's what I want to introduce you to today. And I want to show you what you need to be doing if you want to live a life that is amazing, stupendous. Now, the hidden man is the real you. You are gifted. You are so special. You are so valuable. You are so amazing. But religion has destroyed that. I don't use the word church, and I never tell people I'm a pastor. Why is that? Because church is a curse word. Most people's relationships are very negative. But because religion has done this, all of us have developed our lives without touching the hidden man. We have mental skills, emotional skills, physical skills. We have been born. Some of you have incredible ability with numbers. Others have an incredible ability with poetry and music, song. Others have incredible physical skills. Some people have such good memory, muscle memory, they make millions of dollars because they can hit the ball in the exact spot every time, no problem. They can shoot baskets and et cetera, et cetera. So there's all these giftedness that are really cool. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the hidden man. And this hidden man is the real you. It is your spirit. Now, we're going to get to the old self, new self, but let's go to Adam and Eve in the garden for a minute. They walked and talked and hung out with God. God's presence ignited his hidden man, his spirit man. And so because of that, the hidden man or your spirit always deals with the spirit world. Your physical body deals with the physical world. Your mental part of you deals with the mental part of communication and imagination and emotions and feelings, etc. So Adam was filled with the presence of God, and he connected to God, which means he connected to joy, peace, and incredible confidence, incredible power. Adam was to have dominion over the garden, name all the animals, and every animal that swam, crawled, walked, flew, all were submitted to him. But then when he disobeyed God, and God said, don't ever eat of that tree. It wasn't because of the tree. The tree wasn't the power. Everyone's looking for the tree. No, the tree was his decision to follow God or to follow himself. Self-centeredness is at the root of all witchcraft, at the root of all evil is self-centeredness. In fact, the Bible says stubbornness is as the sin of witchcraft. Because a stubborn person is a self-centered and so, well, there's good things. Yeah, no, we can play with the word and say stubborn faith, stubborn love, yeah. But I'm talking about stubborn, period, that is a self-centeredness, and it opens the door to demonic interference, et cetera, et cetera. So Adam, when he disobeys God, the presence of God left his hidden man, his spirit, just... And now his human spirit connected to the kingdom of darkness. So what does that mean? It connects to doubt. It connected to fear. It connected to anger. It connected to loneliness, to the orphan's heart. It connected to what used to be confidence now is timidity. And so when God walked in the garden, he goes, Adam, he hid himself. And trembling and fearful and worried that he's going to be punished. And man had lost his ability to approach God. Man has no approach to God all through the Old Testament. You couldn't approach God. There was no approach to God. You could do some kind of a prayer, and they'd fire prayers off and pray 3 times a day and try to do good. But he was now connected to the dark side, if you want to call it. He's connected to the dark kingdom. He's connected to the enemy of our souls, Satan. And so what dominated his life was all of this. And so I want you to understand that when the Bible talks about the old man, that was you before you accepted Christ. And that's why it says, put off the old man. Now, if you are born again, your spirit man, this hidden man, is filled with the ability and the potential of God himself. But your mind has been trained and your body has been trained. Your self-worth, your emotions, how you handle people has all been trained by the old self. That means that your emotional makeup, your relational makeup, how you view yourself, how you use your imagination, your creativity, the abilities that you have to play an instrument, to work with numbers, to run companies, are all, you've got gifts in the physical and you have gifts in the mental. But they're supposed to be empowered by the hidden man of the heart, full of God's ability. Now, you give your life to Jesus Christ. You invite him to come in because Jesus died on the cross, became sin, period, took your sin. Then he died, went to hell in your place, was punished like you should have been punished. Then the curse of the law was a part of that he took. He took sickness, disease. Isaiah 53 will fill it all out for you. And now, when Jesus was suffering in death for us, he rose again. And now, because the human had been died for, the price was paid, and the power of God was there. You can accept Christ, and it's a finished work. And so when you give your life to Christ, you have a new man, and this new man is Jesus and the presence of God in you. And Ephesians 4 verses 19 and on teaches us, now put him on. Well, I thought he was in me. That's the hidden man. That's deep in your spirit. Now, put him on means simply get educated on who you are. Renew your mind with what you can do and who you are. And if you do, then your mind is going to make way and submit itself to your spirit, because the voice of the mind is reasoning. The voice of the body is feelings. The voice of the spirit is conscience. And so when you learn to renew your mind, you are making your mind submit to spirit truth, because you're not a body. You're actually not a mind. You're a spirit. The mind is your onboard computer, and of course both are you. Your body is just your earth suit, and when it's gone, you are in fact, you're more alive when you leave that body than you were in the body. So I'll give you an example of some of this stuff. In Acts chapter 23, verses 1, the Apostle Paul is talking to the Sanhedrin, brilliant minds in the Bible. And he says here that, he says to them in Acts 23:1, then Paul looked earnestly at the council and said, men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before God until this day. So Leon, why is that verse so important? Because he was a complete jerk. Why has he got a good conscience? What do you mean? He rounded up women and children, tied them into slave processionals, and put them in jail. He was the man standing there. They piled their coats on when rocks hit Stephen's face and knocked his teeth and brains out while they killed him and ran at them and gnashed their teeth and killed him. And he looked into heaven and said, I see Jesus. And it made them even madder in their hatred for this man. Saul was the leader of it. And here he is telling the Sanhedrin, oh, I've been in good conscience my whole life. He actually was, because the voice of his spirit, the old man, connected to the dark kingdom, even though he was a religious person and knew the word, didn't allow conscience to do that for him. Well, Leon, I know lots of people who don't believe in Jesus, and they have a good conscience. Listen to me. You can train your kids and renew their minds and their emotions to have good manners, to respect pain and health and life. But you can also, and I'll show you back through history, you can train kids to disrespect life, and they'll kill at the drop of a hat. Look at the soldiers in the jungles. You go back in history, men had the right to kill their own kids and their wives in many cultures because they had no qualms about it. Go through wife after wife, kids not the color I want, not this what I want, it's not exactly as blessed as I want, not the sex that I want, kill, no big deal, and they're fine doing it because their spirit man's not alive with the very presence of God. So when the old man, and you begin to realize there's got to be more to life than this depression, unhappiness, this big old hole, this black hole that's in my chest, that when I'm quiet, that all of a sudden I just feel like it's not worth anything, and then you get born again. As a Christian, when you give your life to Christ, you can still be haunted. You can still be lonely. You can still feel like an orphan. You can still feel like I'm useless and nobody, because the old self is what trained your mind, and it trained how you handle your emotions. So everybody here, including me, has habitual thinking. You continually think along certain tracks. I'll talk to women, and there's a group of them, they'll just tell me men are just pigs. And I can't disagree with them because of the incredible betrayal and heartache and brokenness and hurt. But it goes into their kids and their generations and their future, and if they do have another marriage. I'll talk to men, and women are only good for one thing, and I'm telling you, get out of there and go. Whoa. But this is their habitual thinking. Come out of experience, Now, this habitual thinking is how they think. It's how their emotions are connected. It's how it's firing on all these cylinders, and it now controls your life. So when you give your life to Jesus Christ, Ephesians 4, Romans chapter 12, all teaches us to renew your mind because it's trained wrong. When I was like in my teens, I think I was 16, I was a kid that threw rocks all the time. I just loved throwing. I don't know why. Dad liked to throw, and we'd go to the sand hills outside of Weldon, down by the Forks, and we get up on these sand hills, and we get a pail of rocks, and him and I would just throw rocks. And it wasn't like probably about 12, I started out throwing him, and that felt so good. And so I just throw all the time. Well, by the time I got into high school, when it came to discus, javelin, shot put, baseballs, I could throw a baseball over a home plate and the backstop from outfield. And so they had this one gift. And so I got into javelin, and I just really excelled. I was beating and heading up, the provincials and different things. And one day a coach was watching me at the provincials, and I'd won gold, and I was excited about this. And this guy walks over, a little elderly man, and very different kind of guy. And he goes, "Leon Fontaine, is it?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Good job." I said, "Thank you." He said, "Do you think I could just show you how to throw?" So I got the gold medal, won first place, beat everybody else, and he's going to tell me how to throw. My daddy taught me shut up and listen. I'm glad. So I said, "Yeah, sure." He says, "Come with me." And it was all over, and he went on another thing, and he said, "You run down the runway of javelin, you jump into the air, and you arm the javelin out there. You won gold off your arm." And I says, "Oh." He says, "There are 17 other muscle groups that will help you throw that besides your arm. There are 17 positions that you need to move into as you plant yourself at the end of the runway. Where you put your feet, where your ankles are, how the hip comes through, the knee comes through, how the other foot comes through, where you put this other arm out, and you tighten the muscles across your chest as you bring that javelin through. If your chin's here, you're going to throw your back out. If your chin's there, you're going to..." He went through it, and he showed me. He became my coach. And we began to train for the Olympics. And he took a guy who I thought I had ability, and he added 17 power positions till I'd hit the end of that runway and just whip. And right from my very bottoms of my feet, that thing would just launch it out there. You're like that. You might be successful in business. You might be successful as a mommy, a daddy. you're not even 1/17th. The hidden man of the heart, the hidden man where the presence of God is so filled with love, it's so filled with peace, it's so filled with joy that even as you do your business, it can radiate